Hi everyone, and welcome to Module 2, Multimedia Presentations for Learning. This is actually part 2 of your instructional lesson plan where you designed an innovative, culturally responsive lesson for your students. And so this is the presentation portion of that where you actually presented in the classroom. The lesson plan was more for your own use and other teachers' use. Most students won't see this. This is actually what the students will see. This is also your second artifact in your chalk and wire portfolio, and so we're going to get you fully prepared to complete this, and then I will give you feedback, and then you'll upload it to your chalk and wire. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. As an overview, we are going to be talking about multimedia presentations, your overall assignment details, your standards, best practices of multimedia presentations, templates, tools, some repositories so you can kind of see other samples, and some of those will be great, some of those will be not so great, but you'll get a kind of an overview of what all types of different multimedia presentations look like. And then I'm going to give you step-by-step instructions for your own presentation, and hopefully you'll be fully prepared by then. Notice that I'm saying multimedia presentations and I'm not saying PowerPoint. So even though I've been using PowerPoint for you all, that is because I know that's what you're used to, but in this class I also want you to get used to at least knowing other presentation tools and creation devices exist, and PowerPoint is just one of them. So, all right. So here is your standard, your ISTE standard, and I notice that it's for teachers. When you're doing your presentation, you're going to use the ISTE standards for students because this is for your students, and you all are going to be teachers hopefully very soon. So, so that's why I'm using ISTE standards for teachers. Okay, and then we have your Blackboard setup. Now, please know that I have fully explored the best format to deliver all this content to you, to share all this content with you, and this one seems to be the best. I've talked to a lot of other professors at Southeastern, as well as worked with our CIDT department and our IT department, and this is the best format. Now I know it's not perfect, but that's because of the limitations of Blackboard, the program itself. I've made it as user-friendly for you as possible, and I'll show you a little bit how I did that. And so I did adjust some things based on your feedback from last semester that I've now created these as items, so the link is right there. So anything that's red, you can click on and that will take you right to the document. So, so I know it's not perfect, but it's hopefully better than what it was. And continue to give me feedback, and I will adjust things throughout the semester as possible to make it easier for you. Okay, so best practices for presentations. And here I wanted you to for sure see Presentation Zen. This is the second edition by Gar Reynolds. It has been, I guess, since I think I first heard about it in about 2008, 2009, and it's still one of the more highly referenced multimedia presentation manuals, textbooks, if you will. I'm not requiring that you purchase this, but certainly consider if you want to kind of take your presentations to the next level, this is a good resource for you. I do have the PDF version, or kind of a synopsis of the book in a PDF form for free for you, linked here. And so this is actually a link to the actual book for purchase on Amazon. It's in both Kindle for under $10 or paperback. You can get it used for about $12. So I definitely do use Kindle quite often, and I have hundreds of books on my Kindle, and it's nice because the text is already in digital format. I can screenshot items from my Kindle here and my Kindle app right on my computer, screenshot those and put them right into a presentation. I can highlight the text and copy it and paste it in. It's a really good tool to use, the Kindle app. And so please do consider that. You can download it straight from Amazon because it is an Amazon product. Now notice that this is the second edition, and you always want to look for the latest edition when possible. You can also add it to a list. So say that you have a list for 3313, a wish list. You may not be ready to buy all these books now, but at least you have a wish list going and you can always refer back. So here is your Amazon Kindle link. You can learn more, and you can actually buy a Kindle if you want. I just have a tablet, and so that allows you to, it's a little bit less expensive, I suppose, to have the Kindle reader, but if you have a tablet, or you can even, again, install the Kindle app on your computer, and it'll make it a lot easier for you. Okay. And then you can manage it all. I won't go into a full Kindle tutorial. If you want to learn more about Kindle, you certainly can do Kindle tutorial. And you can do that for any device. So here is Fire and Kindle support videos. So you can actually, let's do the Kindle app tutorial video. Okay. And Kindle app on iPad. So here's a whole list of items depending. Kindle works on every phone, every device you can imagine, every laptop, etc. Okay, so there is Kindle, and you can download it. Again, the ebooks are generally less expensive, etc. Okay. Here is the PDF that I referenced. That's free. It gives you a little bit of tips without having to buy the entire book. And so it's a brief handout that highlights many of the key points addressed in his book. And you'll see some of them here: key findings, practical implications, organization and preparation tips. Okay, so there is a lot of really scholarly, high-level books about presenting. This is just, I think, a very user-friendly get-started guide for teachers going into the classroom. And it's used throughout education as well as business and other sectors. Okay. And then we have the non-designer's design book, and this is also a standard as well: design and typographic principles for the visual novice. So again, just an easy, quick start guide for creating presentations, print material, etc. for your classroom. All right, and then again, the e-textbook is $15 paperback. So you can look inside on the Amazon tool here, and it gives you table of contents, etc. Okay, so I'll let you review that on your own. And then, so there are some design principles that came out of Robin Williams' Non-Designer Design book, and it's the CRAP design principles. This is actually, notice there's 38,000 views. Globally, this is a well-regarded acronym for design principles. Despite the unfortunate name, I think it's a simple way for you to understand design in your classroom without teaching a full class on typographical design, and give you the very basics to get started. So you can look at this presentation. Here's the link to SlideShare. Liz Dolly is a digital education expert. She is indeed that, and highly regarded professor, etc. So I feel comfortable sharing her presentation with you, even with this unfortunate name. So. Okay. And then we have Slideology. This is Nancy Duarte. She has had a very successful career designing presentations for high-level leaders. You can read her biography if you want. She wrote this book about the art and science of creating great presentations. And you can Google her work. She has a wonderful website. Notice the book starts, it's almost $7, so it's not very expensive. And you can at least look at the table of contents and go visit her website. Just Google Nancy Duarte, and you'll see that she has some great tips and tricks too to get you started. right, and then we have Resonate again by Nancy Duarte. It's kind of her follow-up to Slideology, and this is more about visual digital storytelling. And so very clear, well-designed book that gives you a kind of a quick start guide to visual storytelling. Okay. And again, feel free to peruse or explore that at your convenience. Okay. Now, you aren't going to be tested on this material, but you will be expected to design a good presentation that at least reflects the knowledge in here. And for those of you who plan on doing a lot more presentations or teaching online, or maybe even hybrid students or tutoring online, you certainly want to know some of the background about why and how to design engaging, effective presentations, especially the younger students that you go, it's harder to keep their attention, and so you want to be very exact in creating your presentations. Okay, and then we have some tools for you. This is a fairly new tool. A few of my students used this last semester, and it is published by Microsoft. It's called Sway, and you can have interactive reports, presentations, personal stories. So let's go ahead and visit their website. The presentations become very interactive, and you can do reports, again, in presentations, newsletters in here, all sorts of different products, and notice that it's available on the web, Windows, iPhone, or iPad. All right. And here's your Get Started. You can see some samples of presentations in Sway, so take a little bit of time. I would say to spend at least about 10 minutes in each one of these resources that I give you. 10 to 15 minutes, kind of really explore it and decide, well, I like this, I don't like this, and then you can go back and decide which one you really want to delve into. I don't expect you to be experts in each one of these tools, but I do expect you to have at least a brief overview of what it is and be able to tell another student in the program what Sway is and why you would use it versus Microsoft PowerPoint. Okay. Another tool we have is Google Presentations. Here's the link. And notice that you have a blank presentation. You also have some other presentations created by other users that they've shared with you, and gives you a good resource as templates or just even to launch you off into your own project. Now notice they have a whole education tab here, and you certainly can peruse these, and you can even search their tool as well. So we'll go there really quick. Okay, so here's some of my previous ones, and then you can also just do a search for presentations. Okay, and then here's a More button of ones that have already been created. Okay. And then we have Explain Everything, which this is a very cool interactive storytelling tool, and allows you to create a presentation that is very tablet friendly. It's very, very multimedia. This is probably one of the more multimedia tools. And here you can watch the video. I'll just go ahead and start it for you, and you'll get to see. A little bit about Explain Everything. Notice they're on an iPad. You can insert anything. Dropbox means pictures, videos, whatever you need to tell your story. So obviously this would be wonderful for all grade levels, even pre-K, because of the multimedia, the audio-visual format of it. It would be very, very appealing to even the earliest of learners. Okay? You can download it from the App Store, and it, of course, works best on iPads or tablets, and hopefully you'll find that useful. And then we have Prezi. Prezi is a really great tool I've used numerous times. And Prezi is nice because often what I will do is I'll create the PowerPoint in Microsoft PowerPoint. I'll create the presentation in Microsoft PowerPoint, and then I can log in and upload it to, hopefully, let's see. Well, I'm not, oh, it did bring up mine. Okay, so I can log in and then go ahead and upload my presentation that I created in PowerPoint, and it arranges it for me. So here's one of the students from last semester who did a Prezi. Let's see, here's one I did on social entrepreneurship. I used to teach a class on technology integration for social entrepreneurship and change, which is really nonprofits and 501c3s. So here is a class I taught on that, and I did absolutely create this in PowerPoint and then uploaded it to Prezi, and which is very easy to do. Okay. This is very social, so I can just show you a little bit about what it does. Notice there's Bloom's taxonomy. That should look familiar to you. All right, so we won't go into that whole presentation, but really what you do is create an account, log in, and click on the plus sign there. Notice I have the educational version, which is free. Please make sure that you're signing up with your se.edu account so that yours is free as well. And you can use one of their templates. You can also go back and add one of their templates later. Okay. You can export out your tool. Here's where you can click plus, insert. You want to insert from a PowerPoint. Notice, so you created your PowerPoint somewhere else, like this one here. And actually, I'll just go ahead and take a minute or two and do that. Okay, so the content, so this is the presentation, and notice it's uploading here, and it's going pretty fast because I have a high-speed connection here at Southeastern. And we'll let that roll for a minute. Okay, it's at 52%. So if you just want to create it from scratch, you would click the circle frame over here. There's all sorts of other tools like a bracket, a rectangle, and it kind of creates the frame for that slide. So each one of these shapes would be your slide, and then you can put in text or pictures or links to videos. If you want to learn more about Prezi, it's watch our video right here, and there's a full tutorial presentation on using Prezi. Now I must warn you that there's a little bit of a learning curve with Prezi. I taught myself, and it did, take me a little bit more time than it usually takes me to learn these types of tools. I usually use so many, it goes pretty fast for me now, but this one did take a little extra time. So be prepared for that. It is a lot easier if you just create it in PowerPoint or another tool like that, like Google Presentations, and then upload it from a file or from PowerPoint. So this is really your magic button in here. And so notice it brought my whole presentation here, and then I can just click and drag in what I want here. So here's all my slides that I'm going through with you now, and I can kind of put them in a circular. Maybe I want them like in a clock formation. So I'm going to start over there at 1 o'clock. And just drag in everything I want. So here's another one. So that's step number 3, actually. And then you're going to edit your path. So you decide, you have to tell it, okay, how do I want it to move about the screen? What do I want my students or my participants to see first? And here, for some reason, this is over at 1. I actually want that slide to be 1. It should allow me to change. And I can also control it over here. I'm just going to do a quick tutorial and delete that too. Or you can clear all of the path. So click on any object to edit its path. There. Okay, well, actually I want that up there, and that will move it. Let's see if I can just delete that. been a while since I used Prezi too. Okay, well now it moved it to 1 for me, and it's going to want to end back at 6. And you can drag and drop these to edit the path as well. Okay, or you can add current view, and that gives you an extra slide there as well. When you're done, click done. And then you can share your Prezi. It gives you a link. You can download it as a PDF, share on Facebook, present it remotely, or download to a portable Prezi, which allows you to edit it later. Okay, so that's a quick start guide. Again, remember they gave you a video over here to get started. I suggest you always watch those getting started videos because they will basically go through everything I just gave you. Okay. Another one that I think you would like to know about is Haiku Deck. A lot of my K-12 teacher friends use this. It's a little different than Prezi. Haven't used this as much, but it is a great tool, and I think I'll be doing more of this in the future. Always sign up with the educational pricing. You can get started and then sign in. Here's some of their galleries, and you can kind of just browse through here and see if it's something you want to do. Again, spend 10-20 minutes getting used to it, and then really delve into the one you want to use for your project. There's Podcasting 101, Digital Leadership. Okay. And again, Haiku Deck is going to have full tutorial videos to get you started. Please watch those. All right. So to reflect, there is this great little article written by Jennifer Gonzalez a couple of years ago, almost 3 years ago now, 2.5. And she has a great blog called Cult of Pedagogy. And I don't know that I like the name so much, but this article itself is good. So it's a little bit informal, but many K-12 blogs and resources for K-12 teachers are not as formal as you would find in scholarly databases, which is fine at this level. Now, as you went up through a master's, doctorate degree, you'd certainly want to get much more formal. Now, so this article reviews presentations and for you, and she does pick out the key points. What I really wanted you to see is some of what she thought, and I agree, that where Mr. Gar's key points in his book, Presentations Zen. Limit the text on the slides, that is for sure. Make it visual, that is for sure. This is all in your rubric. Tell a story, yes. Using minimal text and a lot of pictures, you should tell a story. Each one of the tools I showed you really lean toward helping you do those things. And then she also adds in how Presentations Zen fixed her bad PowerPoints. Okay. And so it's just a really good overview without having to read the whole book. But of course, I would love you to read the full book too. Okay. And then you have some storehouses. So you saw SlideShare earlier with Dr. Dolly's presentation. And this is a storehouse of various slides and presentations that are geared towards education that would be helpful. These are not full scholarly peer-reviewed, and they are relevant to K-12 education for sure. So we have a lot of grassroots educators that have just been in the classroom for a long time and have been doing very good work, and they share their knowledge here. And so while you understand that it may not be perfect, it's not been scientifically tested, it's not a doctorate dissertation, but it is certainly tried and true to information much of the time by other educators. Not always, so you still want to be very, very cautious. And, again, like you would with YouTube, look at how many views, or even TeacherTube or TED-Ed, how many views. Angela Maers is always a good one. And so you'll get to know the folks that are the leaders and in the sector as you go along. But anyhow, this is a good place to look at some of the presentations that are already out there. Now, before you use these in your classroom, you would certainly want to make sure that they line up with your district adopted curriculum and that it matches other leaders that your administrators or mentor teachers have told you are good too. So I do not recommend you just taking one of these presentations and running with it, but I do, and running with it in your classroom, but I do recommend that you kind of just look at this more as from a design perspective versus an expert content perspective. This is what works well and what does not work well for presentation design. Okay, hope that makes sense. Also wanted to give you some more presentation tools. I showed you a few like Haiku Deck and Prezi. And then here's some other ones that are even newer. And so you have Present.me, you have Novio, HelloSlide, Jukes. There's a lot of different tools. Here's just another list of 20 I wanted to give you so that you have plenty of options. The ones I highlighted earlier, though, are kind of the industry standard right now and where I see most K-12 educators going. So, for your own multimedia presentation, that may or may not be a PowerPoint and may start in a PowerPoint and then end up in a Prezi or a Haiku Deck, is number one, you're going to open your ISTE lesson plan that you just turned in to me. That was your assignment number one, because your content, your digital citizenship content that you wrote that lesson plan on is now going to be turned into a multimedia presentation for your students. But you still need that content. You are not researching a whole new set of content for this presentation. The content for your presentation comes straight out of your lesson plan. So open that assignment number one lesson plan, and then select what tool you're going to use. Are you going to do a PowerPoint that you really just maximize and it's a excellent, awesome PowerPoint? Or are you going to do a Sway? Or are you going to start a PowerPoint and then upload it into Prezi like I just showed you? Or are you just going to start with Haiku Decks? So you have those options. If you're going to use PowerPoint, again, I have added in some templates and I'll show you those in Blackboard, so please select one of those templates. I would always start with a template and then just customize it to your liking. Okay. So if you're going to have your assignment number one open, you're going to have your tool open, you can have two browser windows open at the same time, and you're just going to be copying and pasting key content or summarizing it from your lesson plan. You can have it printed out on your desk next to you, and then you're in the tool and you're creating it. I'll show this to you in just a second. Number two, copy and paste the information under each heading of your lesson plan to the PowerPoint slide. I'm going to go back and demonstrate this for you. Even better would be to summarize it. So have the lesson plan printed out next to you on your desk, and then just be summarizing like you'd be taking notes on those 3x5 cards that I was taught to do a long time ago. And then number three, you're going to summarize, edit, bullet point your text from your lesson plan into your presentation. Okay. Remember to use as little text as possible is the goal, just like we read in that article, that review of presentations, and minimal text, lots of visuals, and minimal distractions, which allows people to make meaning. The goal is for your learners to be able to make meaning. This is probably the most text you'll see, but I'm going to also go back and demonstrate it visually. Okay. Most folks, especially in developing regions, in high poverty areas, and unfortunately Oklahoma still has a lot of those what they call low socio-demographic areas where there's a high poverty, maybe lower education rates, and then higher illiteracy rates or lower literacy rates where students are reading well below grade level. So if you can make the content visual, audio visual is even better because, again, many of our students at all different grade levels and even at all different ages, well into adult, unfortunately just did not have the reading instruction that they needed to be able to make sense of the written word. Okay, still highly intelligent most of the time. It's just a matter of having that not having that specific training. So, okay, and then make sure that you have at least one graphic multimedia slide or component per slide. So photos, graphics, tables, videos, etc. And then using the view and slide sorter screen, reorder your slides for clarity, coherence, and flow as needed. And then remember that the template that I provide you, I do give you a template much like this, is just a template. You should and can edit the document to fit your purposes while addressing all of the key headings from your lesson plan. Okay, so, and we'll go through that in just a moment. Here is your rubric. This is how I'm going to grade you. Okay, and that is uploaded. Please download this from the Blackboard module and print it out, tape it on the wall, whatever you need to do. This is your rule book. Like every game comes with a rule book. This is your rule book. Everything else is the play guidance and game guidance. This is the rule book. This is how I'm going to grade you. Okay. There's my contact information. Please make sure that you're contacting me with questions, concerns, comments, any way that I can help you. I am more than happy to do that.